You are now listening to
Chakras and Shotguns. Welcome back to Chakras and Shotguns, episode 44. I'm Jen.
And I'm Mick. Welcome back. So, what's on your mind today? How you feeling?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. I have been doing this exercise in light of our toxic positivity episode. It's not toxic positivity, it's reframing, but the inspiration was part that episode and part this tweet I saw on Twitter, because that's where tweets live, Jennifer. It was from somebody named @Dwayne_Perkins, and he said, I started playing a game with myself where every time something annoys me on Twitter, I immediately get off and force myself to do a Duolingo Spanish lesson. And bitch, let me tell you, voy a ser bilingüe en poco tiempo porque todos ustedes son muy molestos. And basically he was like, I'm about to be bilingual because y'all are very annoying. And every time I get an annoying email or an annoying request, I pull up my Duolingo and I start dusting off that French. And that's how I'm reframing. I don't think it's toxic. I think it's productive.
Okay, with your little parlez-vous français. I see you.
So I'm about to be bilingual because they're getting on my nerves. But that's fine. It's fine. Is it? Well, anyways. You want to talk about Bel-Air? We're finally watching it.
Yeah, we've been meaning to get to Bel-Air. At least I've been meaning to get to Bel-Air. I was excited about it. I know my wife didn't have excitement at when it first came out, but
I hate a reboot. Like, I like original thought. I hate a reboot. I also don't know if I would love, this might be a hot take, I don't know if I rewatch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air right now if I would love it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I just don't know if I circle back, if I would just love it. I thought Will Smith was kind of goofy, to be honest. Y'all don't trash me on Instagram.
You're not really big into physical humor though. Like, you didn't like Martin. That wasn't the thing for you.
Ooh, I don't know if you're supposed to say that out loud.
I mean, go ahead, speak your truth. You know.
Jamie Foxx was pretty physical, but I liked him. I thought the character of Martin was pretty chauvinistic, and there was something about it that kind of irritated me from the jump. And so I didn't love that.
Okay. I was into Martin. I watched it. It wasn't like my favorite. Like, I know some people who are just like, they can recite like the episode titles and numbers and like tell you what happened. But like, I mean, I watched it. Like, I found it enjoyable.
That's not what you told me when we were dating.
I think you got me confused with another boo of yours or something. But
don't do that. Don't do that. What are the other shows? Martin. I actually like the Wayans brothers, who are very physical. I thought they were hilarious though.
Yeah. No, but back to Bel-Air. So like I was saying, I was excited about it. My boo wasn't really excited about it, but I've been meaning to, go ahead and get that Peacock subscription, which I wasn't, that part I wasn't excited about. I do not need another streaming service in my life, but I finally got around to it and, started binging it. And I got to say, like, it's really, really good.
I'm glad that you said that about Peacock, because I was like, am I the curmudgeon on this topic? Because the streaming services are getting out of control.
I think it's definitely like a business decision, right? Like, they're like, okay, everybody's cord cutting. Well, we'll make these subscription services that are on the internet.
Yeah.
And we'll produce content that makes you want to subscribe for it. So then basically you end up with a total bill across all your streaming services that is equal to what you would have been paying on cable. That's the strategy. I understand it. But
it's just annoying.
I'm fighting it.
I'd be struggling trying to keep on them passwords and logins straight. It's too much. But it has been very enjoyable. I was impressed that they found a kid that looks like Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes makes faces just like Will Smith and plays basketball. Mick said that that's not really that spectacular, that a black boy that age could play basketball reasonably well, but that's none of my business. Carlton's casting is interesting because that is a whole Nigerian man, but that's okay. That's fine. My biggest complaint with the show, and I'm dead serious when I say this, is that the kitchen in this mansion is hella small. And unless I just have not been, I haven't been in palatial estates. Maybe there's like a separate family kitchen for more intimate gatherings, like a breakfast kitchen, but that kitchen's hella small. It's hella small. The bedroom and closet sizes are appropriate for a home that size. Look, I care a lot about homes, okay? That kitchen does not make any sense. There should be at least 2 ovens, maybe at least a couple of sinks. I need to see like a 8-range induction stove situation. Like it irks me. I'm sorry. That's something that irks me.
That didn't even cross my mind. That's so funny.
But no, it's good. Oh, and I think that there's an agenda to bring back big belts. And I don't know how I feel about that. And Viv wears a lot of big belts. And that is a part of my fashion history that I would like to leave behind. But anyway, anything else you want to say about Bel-Air?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like how they weaved in a lot of elements from the original show. They have like the Lisa character. They even mentioned Tyra Banks' character from the original show, who's like, you know, the back home Philly chick. His boy Trey. They even like kept the same name of his father. So I just like, you know, the consistency that they kept with the original, which, you know, I really enjoyed. So I appreciate how they were able to weave those elements in.
Mm-hmm. Also, Jeffrey is swaggy in this version. So that's fun. But would you like to do some breath work, my love?
Yeah, let's do that. So as I was thinking about today's breath work, I was reflecting on just the energy that's been around from people that I know, friends and family. Just feels like there's a lot of anxiety right now in the air. Things are starting to open back up even more. There's a lot more demands on our time. And there's just this jittery, anxious energy around. And so for today's breath work, I want to work on releasing some of that. So let's do a simple countdown exercise. I'm going to count down backwards. And I want all of us, as the numbers grow smaller, to release that anxious energy. And at the end, we'll do a breathing exercise that'll help us just to calm our nervous system down even further. So here we go. Sit up nice and straight. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And I'll start counting down. 5. You're aware of the anxiety in your body, wherever it resides. Maybe you feel it in your stomach. Maybe it's in your chest. Feel where that anxiety is, where all that nervous energy resides. And exhale it out slowly. And as we count down with each breath, I want you to push more and more of it out of your body. 4. Feel more of it leaving. And with each inhale, you're replacing that anxiety with inhales of joy. 3. The anxiety is starting to dissipate. You can feel it leaving your body. 2. Your body's relaxed. The tension in your neck and in your shoulders is leaving. All the places where we carry stress and worry, those are loosening. 1. You feel a smile coming onto your face. With each breath, happiness, joy, the things that bring you bliss. You feel them into your body. Now I want you to take 2 quick inhales through your nose and 1 long exhale. This will further help to soothe your nervous system. Ready? 2 quick in through your nose. And a nice long exhale. 1 more time. 2 quick inhales through the nose. And 1 long exhale. All right, let's get back to the show.
Thanks, Meg. So let's get into our main topic, shall we?
Yes, let's do that. So we have spent time in previous episodes talking about systems like astrology, the Enneagram, and of course, human design. Today, we wanted to walk through another of these really old systems that humans have been using to make sense of the universe, and that is numerology.
Yes, the simplest explanation for numerology is using numbers to determine aspects of a person's life and destiny. It is a very easy divination technique that only requires a name and a birth date.
Yeah, so you can actually not just use it on people, but you can use it on your pets, even a business, your marriage, because your marriage has a origination date, or any other type of major events that happen.
Let's talk about the history of numerology. There are a lot of different types of numerology across cultures, but the system most practiced today comes from the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. We know him as a brilliant mathematician, but he had several other interests. As part of his studies, Pythagoras also documented a direct relationship between numbers and music notes.
So let's talk a little bit about Pythagoras. I'm sure we all know from grade school the Pythagorean theorem.
Do we?
I mean, you probably have some recollection of a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yeah, I was trying to do the quadratic formula because I had that little song.
I feel you. So it's like with the quadratic formula and the Pythagorean theorem, they're like top 5 things you probably had to memorize in school that you probably still remember, but like have not had to use ever. Like, when is the last time you needed to find the hypotenuse or something, or figure out what x equaled?
I do algebra fairly often.
You use the quadratic equation? You over there singing the song?
I don't do the quadratic equation, but I do use algebra quite often.
Okay, there's a difference between using algebra to like solve for an
I'm usually
unknown variable.
Yeah, I'm trying to solve for an unknown variable.
Yeah, but you don't have to use the quadratic equation, but you spend much time having to remember that.
Baby, I don't even remember what I was using the quadratic equation for.
It's to solve for x. That's the thing.
X what?
If it's an unknown variable in a quadratic formed equation. So what I was trying to say was, in the Pythagorean theorem case, like I do woodworking, I do all kind of things, but I have not had to use any type of a squared plus b squared to figure out a hypotenuse anything. You know, it's like the most useless thing I feel like I learned in school.
So why did they teach it to us? Of course there are we know people who have math degrees, and they went on to study advanced math. But why did we all have to do it? You know what I mean? Because, okay, perfect example. I was in grad school and someone was like, oh, if I sign the back of my check, like anybody can cash it. And it was like, yeah, girl, like nobody knew this. And I was just like, how y'all not know that?
But that's
Like,
what I'm saying.
these are life skills that we should have been taught.
That's my beef right now, is what I'm saying. Like, we had to learn this little formula from this dude way back in Greece who lived, mad years BC for something I've literally never had to use in real life. But people out there don't know how to write a check, how to properly cash a check.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to do their taxes. We just had tax season pass, and people were like, "Oh, that was due." Like, we were talking about Black China, right? She ain't filed her taxes in how many years? She was on the stand talking about this. Like, I bet she has heard A squared plus B squared equals C squared, though. She may not remember it, but she heard it.
But anyway, we digress. Pythagoras was doing his thing back in 500 BC. He was using the numbers and people's birthday. Do you think he was using like tablets, or do you think they had like papyrus?
I hope they had a little papyrus. He actually spent some time in Egypt, so I hope at this point he wasn't just chiseling into some rock.
Okay. Using the numbers in people's birthday and the vibrations of musical notes that correspond to the numbers to give accurate descriptions of people's personalities. Let's take a moment. Let's take a step back. Pythagoras is like, yo, what's your birthday? And you give him your birthday. And he uses musical notes and your song comes out like, dun, 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 dun. Like, what if your personality sound like real whack? Like, it just sounds like... It sounds terrible. And somebody else's song sounds like, Pharrell's Get Happy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be like, yeah.
So Pythagoras also, he created a system for taking the letters of the alphabet and basically equating those with numbers. And so the system is often referred to as Pythagorean alphabet. We'll come back to that a little bit later.
Since we're discussing history, another aside, this isn't a genocide, but there are other systems of numerology. In the Hebrew text Sefer Yetzirah, Lord, please forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, there are references to a complex system of numbers that hold spiritual meaning. For example, the digits 0 through 9 each represent a sphere in the tree of life of Kabbalah. There's the tree of life again, which was also used in human design.
So also there's this book, it's called the Hermetica, and it is a collection of texts that come from ancient Egypt and Greece. And in there are a bunch of references to numbers and like deeper meanings, like relation to God and the cosmos, blah, 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 blah. You can spend some time kind of Googling and YouTubing Hermetic numerology and astrology to get more of a sense about this system specifically. There are some similarities and crossovers that we'll kind of explore. As I mentioned, Pythagoras did spend some time in Egypt, so like he got a little bit of that flavor as well. But we're going to kind of focus this episode just on Pythagoras and his numerology work.
So back to Pythagoras. He's best known for math, but like we said, he was into some other stuff. He was primarily a mystic and a philosopher. He believed that all things are numbers, and he believed that all numbers possessed a dual quality. He separated that into what he called numbers and figures. Numbers represented qualities and figures represented quantities. Oh, maybe we should title this episode Hidden Figures.
Okay. We can add that to the potential list. I like it. Yeah, so examining kind of his system of numbers, he notes that basically like from a macro level, like universe wide, and then like all the way down to like micro, thinking about individual people, there are different things that like the numbers 1 through 9 can tell us. He believed that like all numbers hold intrinsic energy. Thinking about the modern world, this can be any number. That's your address number at your house, apartment number, your social security number, your license plate number, the number of the bus route you take to work. Like all of those things to Pythagoras have energy in them and can tell us something.
So focusing on 1 through 9, in Pythagoras' system, everything can be reduced to one of those numbers. It's not lost on me either. Again, everything's connected. That the Enneagram is also made up of numbers from 1 through 9. And Pythagoras also found these numbers to have great significance. Each number has a personality or universal meaning. So let's talk through each of them. We'll go through these and you'll see that some have overlap with what we discussed in our Enneagram episode.
Yes. So in numerology, the number 1, it represents masculine or yang energy. So it represents unity, originality, creativity, aggression, freedom, and beginnings. Moving on to number 2, in numerology, it represents the supreme feminine force, receptivity, or yin energy. It represents both grace and power. It is cooperative and aims to bring peace and balance to situations. Number 3 is all about being youthful, positive, and it represents a need for social interaction. 3 is about sunny radiance, enthusiasm, and communication. So it's really this like social aspect. So think like fun and creative expression. And then number 4 is about dependability, stability, and being practical for advancement. It is about firmness, security. Number 4 is about leading with the head and not with the heart.
Moving on, number 5 is about constant activity, curiosity, and adventure. 5 represents change, adaptability, and being unattached. 6 represents unconditional love, compassion, nurturing, and healing. It is about bringing harmony to an environment. 6 represents service, counseling, and social responsibility. 7 is about deep wisdom. It is about seeking deep understanding, philosophy, and researching spiritual truth. 8 is an achiever, and it's about assuming power. It represents good business sense as well as balance. And then finally, number 9 represents completion of one cycle and the potential of a new cycle to begin. It also represents selflessness, tolerance, benevolence, and patience.
So those, again, are kind of what Pythagoras saw as kind of universal meanings of these numbers. They could apply to a variety of different places where you may find numbers. But also in numerology, there are specific numbers that are called personal numbers. And there's a bunch of these numbers that people calculate to determine different aspects of, a person, a place, or a thing. Basically, if it has a name and a birth date or date of origin, we can calculate these numbers. While there are a lot of numbers, as I mentioned, that you can calculate, we are going to really just talk about 4 of those numbers and go into detail really on just one. These 4 numbers are the life path number, the destiny number, the soul urge number, and the personality number.
Life path number or life lesson is considered to be the most important number in your numerology chart. It represents your identity, strengths, weaknesses, talents, ambitions, and it's said to be most significant in your choice of career. The calculation is done by adding up the digits in your birthday. You don't need your birth time.
So let's do a quick example. Let's say your birthday is November 4th, 1991. For me, it's easiest to add up the year first. So that would be 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 1, which is 20. And now you add that 20 to 11 and 4. So 20 plus 11 plus 4 is 35. And so now that you have that 2-digit number, you are going to add those digits together. So 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. And that's how you get a life path of 8 for that birthday. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. We'll go through the life path descriptions for the numbers 1 to 9. You can find these on a number of websites, but in some sources, you can go a step further and get actually more personalized analysis using the 2-digit number that is reduced before you get to the single digit. So in the example I just went through, you would look up 35/8 to see a more personalized interpretation of your life path number.
And a point I want to make to that is you want to make sure you're not reducing the numbers down as you're adding them. You want to add them all up to get your total so you can get that larger number as well. So let's talk through the 9 life path numbers. Mick, you want to start with number 1?
Yes, life path 1, think executive, CEO type person. Life path 1, they are strong-willed, they are determined, they are innovative, but they can also be bossy and stubborn and self-critical. These are the, quote, natural-born leaders. So some famous life path ones: MLK, Tiger Woods, George Lucas, and Tom Hanks. I actually have a story about someone that I'm pretty close to who is a life path one. I mentioned before in previous episodes, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. When I was in college, we were at the end, I think this is the end of my sophomore year, and we were trying to decide who was going to be our president of the chapter for the next year. And so one of my brothers, he was being kind of urged by the guys that were graduating to be the president, but he was really hesitant. He was like, all right, I'll do it, but if I end up doing this, y'all probably aren't going to like me very much. And sure enough, he became president. And while we did amazing things as a chapter that year, we won some awards for like the programs that we put on. We did all kinds of accomplishments. We threw a big party that raised a bunch of money. We had some community service projects that were super innovative. And I think that's one of the ones we won an award for. And it was a great year. But there were a lot of internal strife issues, you know, personalities rubbing together, because he was very much that life path one CEO type, like pushing, being innovative, but also was coming across as a little bit bossy. And yeah, it just rubbed people the wrong way. But he got the best out of us at the same time. So that's a life path one.
Can you also clarify that everybody's still friends with him, though? Like, you were kind of like, y'all aren't going to like me after this. And you were like, sure enough.
So we definitely have, you know, mended some of those issues since. Like, we're still close to this day. Like, we talk all the time. But I think during the year, there was a moments where I don't think cats liked him very much. Like, it was very much that what he predicted. Like, you know, we had to come back to the table of brotherhood, as they say.
It's tough to be king.
You know, yeah.
That's funny. Oh, Tom Hanks was in that list, and it. This is gonna sound bad, but it made me think about, like, people have been reflecting on when COVID first hit and how celebrities were handling it. And I remember Tom Hanks and his wife got COVID. They were in Australia. I think he was like shooting a movie. Yeah. And it was like, oh, Tom Hanks got COVID, y'all. And Tom Hanks was like, y'all, I'm going to be okay. And it was just like, why are we here? Like, why are y'all shooting a video telling us how you feel? Like, physically, it was just a little bizarre.
Do you remember that Dave Chappelle joke where he was like, Ja Rule was talking about 9/11?
Yes, I remember that. Oh, I gotta know what Ja Rule thinks about this. Like, it was
that energy.
Yeah. Which, well, the other notable celebrity that I could think of is when Idris Elba got it, and his wife was all up under him, and everybody was like, girl, you gonna get it? She was just like, and probably already do, but that's my boo. Uh-huh. Moving on to Life Path 2. These are very persuasive salespeople. Collaboration is key for Life Path 2s. Finance, music, medicine can be very important to people with this life path. And they're able to easily see various viewpoints, and they handle difficult situations with grace. So, famous life path 2s, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Michael Jordan. Of course, Barack Obama is a projector in human design, so we know that he's like one of those new leaders that's able to get people from literally different viewpoints and get them to work towards a common goal. Check. Done that. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton, handling difficult situations with grace, baby. Because all that Monica Lewinsky stuff happened, I was a wee tot. And now, as an adult, like, I'm older than Monica Lewinsky was at that time. Now, I am. And yeah, he was getting sloppy toppy in the Oval. And he was just like, I don't know what y'all talking about. I ain't had sex with that woman. And then the cigar stuff. Do you remember hearing about the cigar stuff?
I don't know any of those details. Like that, no.
You hadn't heard about the cigar. Apparently, he used the cigar as a phallic object on her. Okay. Is a word on the street. And yeah, Bill Clinton is a big old freak. But he was just like, that ain't gonna stick to me. Like, I think he, honestly, he the real Teflon Don because he was just like, yeah, whatever. Who cares? But those are the two things that popped up in my head. But Michael Jordan collaborating with people? I mean,
He collaborated. He still collaborates.
okay.
I mean, he very much, he also comes off as like he could have been a Life Path 1 as well. We'll talk about it later, but he actually has a master number as part of his Life Path number. And so though it reduces down to 2, he has some other characteristics that show up in a different Life Path number. So we'll talk about that when we get down there.
In that master number, does it talk about big suits?
No. Or wide leg jeans? No.
Ooh, the wide leg jeans. Moving right along.
So Life Path 3. So creativity is the hallmark of the Life Path 3. Life Path 3s tend to be actors, writers, artists, musicians. They have really good communication skills and have a need to express themselves in order to manifest what they want. Routine is boring for Life Path 3s, and they need to be visually stimulated with beauty and luxury. Famous Life Path 3s, Bill Cosby, Mary J. Blige, Snoop Dogg, Hillary Clinton, and Christina Aguilera.
Okay, some artists in there. The Bill Cosby one. Ugh.
I was debating whether or not to even like mention him, but I mean, he was, you know, the writer, the whole like actor writer thing.
Big yikes. Life Path 4. These are the down-to-earth, grounded folks who use their discipline to be effective administrators or managers. They are often seen as builders that are diligent about working towards high goals. They are often called artisans that deal with the nuts and bolts of life. Famous Life Path 4s: Oprah, Brad Pitt, Elton John, Montel Williams, who I have not heard anything about for a little bit. Is he okay?
I think I saw him on one of them like commercials about like a reverse mortgage or home equity loan or something, you know.
Okay. He all right, I guess. Bill Gates.
So yeah, I had him include my boy Montel there. I think just like the ability to be down to earth, I thought it was interesting that Montel and Oprah were both on there because I think they're able to relate to a lot of the different guests that were on their talk show back in the day. And, you know, kind of be grounded and help folks to open up as they were.
Elton John comes off as very grounded. Like, despite the over-the-top outfits and glasses and... Yeah, like him doing that commercial with Lil Nas X. I mean, we know he was paid very well. But him doing that commercial, like, I was just like, really interesting. You know, he's not like, oh, what is this hip-hop person doing? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't look his nose down at it. He was just like, yeah, cool, whatever. He seems like he's a good time.
All right, moving on to Life Path 5. You know, arguably what I'd say is the best life path, you know.
Here we go.
So I'm a Life Path 5, and we seek a path of variety. We are avid readers, versatile doers. We are diligent students if the subject interests us. If we have free reign, then we can accomplish wonders. We are meant to go out, discover, return, and share wisdom with the collective. Often, Life Path 5s go on to have careers in writing or speaking publicly. Some famous Life Path 5s: Abraham Lincoln, Steven Spielberg, Malcolm X, and Beyonce. H-Town.
Oh, gosh.
Don't hate.
Anything else you want to say about being a Life Path 5 since it's so cool?
No, I just think it's reflective that I felt constrained in corporate America because I need free reign. I need freedom.
Oh, okay. I took a really deep breath because I thought you were going to say something like real arrogant, but okay. Continue.
Because you're a hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm here to keep you grounded, my darling.
Anyway, I think also Life Path 5s, what's interesting there, I think about being in school, right? And how there were just some classes and some things that, I mean, you literally had to pay me. My dad was like, you get a good grade in this class, I'll give you some money to get me to actually study them. But other things, I was just like, I'm all about this. Like, I just think about physics. Like, I loved physics. I was all about physics. But I think it was chemistry.
I loved chemistry.
I wasn't feeling it. But physics, all about the forces, equal but opposite force, acceleration. You know what I'm saying? I was all about it.
Cool. What do you want me to do? Take the TOS test again? I don't care.
Okay, we can move on to Life Path 6.
The real MVP is here. Life Path 6, my life path. They're here to learn to care for family and community. 6s serve, teach, and nurture humanity. Life Path 6s tend to be teachers, nurses, social workers, religious leaders, and lawyers. They also have a sense of balance about them, which opens them up to having strong artistic instincts. So you'll also see Life Path 6s in the arts, interior design, and hairdressing. Famous Life Path 6s include George W. Bush, Michael Jackson, Richard Nixon, Eddie Murphy, and Albert Einstein. So my past life and present life are both present in the description of Life Path 6s, which is interesting. I think I have a nurturing spirit. I'm the hostess with the mostest. Humble brag. Like if you want a specific type of tea, I probably have it on Deckington for you. And yeah, what do you think about that, Meg? Do you think that's an accurate description of me? I'm trying to exercise some humility, something that you failed to do when we were talking about your life path number.
Hate. Take it to the player haters ball.
You're so ridiculous.
No, I think actually this does describe you. I did notice the careers there and how, where you want to go is also listed there. So that's funny. I did notice that George W. Bush was on that list, and I was just trying to figure out like how that. I just don't quite see how you and George W. Bush were y'all paths. No pun intended, cross.
I think he was. I've always gotten the sense that he was like a really good husband and dad.
Okay.
And then, he does painting now. He like paints portraits.
Mm-hmm. That's right. The arts. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I mean, like I'm trying to, I don't try and give George W. too much love and affection, just because he be passing candy to Michelle or vice versa. But, I don't know. I always got the sense that he never really wanted to be in politics. Like, he's probably doing what he really actually wants to do.
Got it.
Now.
Yeah.
But maybe that wasn't.
His daddy was president, so he was probably like, all right, I guess I got to do this too.
Meanwhile, Jeb was like, put me in, coach.
And couldn't get in.
Poor Jeb.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on to Life Path 7. These folks, they tend to come off as like loners or enigmas to others. They possess really strong intuition. And over time, they like work on developing a tremendous amount of wisdom. These are the quote unquote mystics. They spend a lot of time in meditation and solitude, honing their perception, opinions, and experiences. They love natural beauty. So think forests. They have a lot of plants. They enjoy going to the ocean. They are really natural philosophers. So some famous Life Path 7s. We have Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe, Princess Diana, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Any thoughts on those?
Well, our youngest is a Life Path 7.
Yeah.
And she loves to be outside. She can be shy. She can want to be by herself.
Yeah, I thought that was like just because she was born during COVID and was, got the COVID baby thing going on. But I mean, that could be her life path kind of presenting itself.
Yeah, I think she's interesting. Like I'm always trying to figure her personality out. And I also thought it was because of her age, right? Like she's little. So, she's just coming out of babydom. So it's kind of like, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
But is it because of age or is who are you always going to be the question?
So we'll see how that develops over time.
Life Path 8s, they have ambition and they seek to have power. They are here to learn how to handle that power, authority, as well as money. Many Life Path 8s build business empires, and you'll also find Life Path 8s excelling in sports. Famous Life Path 8s? 50 Cent.
It's 50.
Elizabeth Taylor. And Naomi Campbell. I think we've seen either it's a rebranding or an evolution of Naomi Campbell. Like, she's very like philanthropic. Remember, she used to be bopping heifers upside the head with cell phones. Like, I think she's really grown. 50 Cent, he has some growing to do. Wasn't he the one that took the trademark out on something? Was it Tia Marie he was harassing? He took, like, there was somebody he was bullying on the internet, and he, like, took out a trademark for their product, which also, like, where's your lawyer? Because why didn't you have your IP together? But he, like, took the trademark and was like, you're going to have to buy it from me. Like, it was very, like, bully shit. You know what I mean? He's a bully. So he needs to.
Yeah, he enjoys exercising his power for sure.
Mm-hmm. He needs to do some growing.
But, I mean, he has made some savvy business moves to build his business empire. I mean, the vitamin water, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, in terms of
no, he's handling money well.
Yeah.
But power and exerting that over others, I think he gets a certain amount of glee.
Yeah, I'm not, refuting what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, in terms of what a Life Path 8 is about, he exhibits those.
The only thing I really know about Elizabeth Taylor is that she had the perfume and, like, mad dudes wanted to marry her. Like, she had mad engagement rings. So
I don't know much about her at all. I just know she was cool with Michael Jackson back in the day.
They kind of look alike. Maybe she was like his muse. Like, he wanted to look like her.
Hey, man, leave Mike alone.
They had the same bang. Bang.
All right. So Life Path 9s. These are universal lovers of humanity. They easily acquire wealth and know how to preserve it, but wealth is not really their goal. They are here to show others the way. Education, medicine, writing, oration, and foreign services are careers that attract Life Path 9s. Some famous Life Path 9s, Whitney Houston, Bob Marley, Gandhi, and Morgan Freeman.
I want to say this.
Okay.
One thing that I have found tricky, we're always trying to incorporate celebrities into some of these things because it's like we kind of know them a little bit and they're like really good examples to point to. But my Lord, everybody's problematic. Like, everybody got an issue. Like, Eddie Murphy, for instance, Life Path 6, supposed to be about nurturing family and community. He got some kids he don't claim. Like, it's just like, come on, like, help me help you. It's just very interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation that we do not have to get into now, just about like how we put celebrities on these pedestals. And like, now in the age of everything is out there and things can spread so quickly, like, we know so much about these people and like the terrible things that they've done or willingly said online. And it's just like, why do we prop these people up? But whatever. That was just a thought that I had.
No, I feel you. I think I was struggling even as I was pulling. Like, there's some celebrities I didn't put on here for certain reasons. I'm like, they don't exhibit anything on this Life Path, but I was trying to like make it work for some other ones. So no, I feel you. It's interesting.
And I'm not talking about drugs. I mean, like, of course, like, I guess, don't do drugs, kids. But, if he's on the booger sugar, that's one thing. But like, Morgan Freeman, like, didn't he try and get with like his stepdaughter or something? Allegedly. It's just, but I don't know.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, babe. Before we move on from Life Path numbers, we have to mention the master numbers. Depending on the source you read, some say 2, some say 3. We're going to take the approach that there are 3 master numbers, and those are 11, 22, and 33.
So I mentioned before in our example of how to calculate the Life Path numbers that as you reduce the numbers, you will come to a 2-digit number. And so if that 2-digit number is 11, 12, or 33, or 44, then there are specific Life Path characteristics that will apply to you.
Yeah, so here's some characteristics for these numbers. For 11 as a Life Path number imparts courage, power, and talent, specifically in the science fields. Your demand for high standards is constant. So 2 of the ones we talked about in Life Path 2, Obama and Bill Clinton both have master number 11. For 22, Life Path 22s are referred to as master builders, and their mission is to inspire others to achieve their life purpose. A person who had that, the 14th Dalai Lama. Big shoes to fill. And then for 33, Life Path 33s are not concerned with personal ambition. They strive to be of service to the whole of mankind, and they avoid any professions that would not be uplifting. If they embrace their responsibility, Life Path 33s have the potential to alleviate suffering on a large scale. An example here, John Lennon, who, well, we don't have to get into that.
He problematic too?
No, it's not that he's problematic. It's just that, like, in America, well...
You talking about Quincy Jones, talking about how they didn't have no talent? That part?
That part.
Okay.
In Western culture, and particularly America, there are some people that, like, some people are really big fans of, and I just don't see the appeal or the talent. And those are the Beatles, Bruce Springsteen. Lord, if I hear something, oh, the boss. Baby, the only boss I recognize is Rick Ross, okay? And Bob Dylan. Throw Bob Dylan in there because they love Bob Dylan.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of a Bob Dylan song. I probably know one. I've heard something on a commercial or something, but I've never purposefully listened to Bob Dylan.
Who sings Born in the USA? Is that Bruce Springsteen?
Who are you asking this? You know I don't know.
I was like reading a fictional book and she was like, oh, my dad loved the Beatles and oh, this song came on. And I was like, girl, that don't mean nothing to me. The story Quincy Jones was talking about was like, I think he was producing a song for them or something. And like they were trying to play their instruments and he was like, this is trash. And he was like, why don't y'all go take a break? And then he brought in some other musicians of color and they knocked that out in like 30 minutes. Yeah. And then they came back and listened to it and they were like, wow, this sounds great. We really sounded good. And he was like, yeah. Go read that article. I don't know what publication it was in, but Quincy Jones was spilling all of the tea.
Was it Esquire or GQ or something like that?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
We'll find it and link it in the show notes, but he was spilling all the tea.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to master number 11 because we mentioned this earlier with Michael Jordan. So he is, Life Path 2, but his 2-digit number is 11. So he has that. And so in that description, you talked about a demand for high standards is constant. Mm. And I feel like that is absolutely Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. So in putting this together, discovered, I knew I was a Life Path 6, but I don't think I actually did the exercise. Like, I think I was in a reading with Melanie and she like did my numbers and was like, oh, you're a Life Path 6. And so it was easy for me to remember and I just moved on. But Mick reran all of our numbers and he was like, you're actually a Life Path 33. And I was like, okay. And yeah, that's something I'm going to have to sit with. Like, not in a bad way, but it kind of feels like a mantle, like a responsibility to have a master number. Yeah, I think I have found specifically in career that if I don't feel like I'm doing something like meaningful, like meeting goals, like sometimes I'll sit in meetings, or I have in the past, and I'll hear people be like, yeah, we got that deal to buy that company that does mine defense supplies. And I'm just like, yeah, like who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're excited about the deal. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm pushing paper. I'm handling things, but it doesn't really give me that sense of accomplishment to finish out that task. I'm like, okay, that one's done. What else do you want? Can I go on vacation now? And so like the profession that I'm trying to step into and like where I'm going, when I finish a project, it's like, oh my gosh, like look at how amazing this looks and look at how great this is now that this is done. And it's like it's kind of sad because I have like a 10 plus year career doing something else, but I'm like, oh wow, like I should be excited when I'm done with the project. Like, whoa, what's that? So yeah, I guess I need to embrace my responsibility, and I'm supposed to alleviate suffering on a large scale, huh? John Lennon got though, so you gotta
moving silence over here.
Yeah, I gotta go to the gun range. Gotta prep.
I feel you. So now that we're kind of done going through the different life path numbers, there were a couple of other numbers that we wanted to mention. Each of these involves using the letters in your name and kind of Pythagoras's alphabet to calculate what the number is. So we were talking about, Jen and I were talking about this, and we felt like walking through this, over the audio of a podcast would be kind of difficult. So what we're going to do is actually create some videos and post them on our IG and our TikTok so that you can kind of see how to go about calculating these numbers if you're interested. But Jen will just kind of run through what they are.
So those numbers are your destiny number or expression, and this number reveals what you are here to accomplish in this lifetime. Then you have soul urge or your heart's desire number, and this is your true personality that isn't always visible to the outside world. Then you have outer personality or first impression. This is self-explanatory. It's how others perceive your personality. And finally, you have your hidden passion number, and this number reveals talents or strengths that are available to you. So finding this out about like using your name and your numbers and all of this, Guadalajara, it made me think of a conversation that we had about our youngest middle name. There was some back and forth on what we were going to do. And at one point, we even thought about changing it, but we stuck with what we initially gave her. And like, what if you like switch up her whole flow? Like, I know somebody who had like a whole thing about their name, and they were named after one grandmother, and then they changed it. They changed it a couple times. They changed her middle name. Like, you can, FYI, you can change your baby's name until they're like a year old. So ship is sailed on ours. But
yeah,
this kid had their name changed a few times. And so it's just like, what's her number?
I think Pythagoras in his little his little writings on the papyrus, he was saying whatever you had when you were born. So that actually brings up a good point when it comes to like changing names, because a lot of women will change their name after they get married. And so when I was reading some numerology, they were like, oh, it would be a good exercise to look at like your maiden name as well as your married name and see like what the difference in your like destiny number, for example, would look like. Like, did this new name change your destiny? So
now you haven't given me the receipts, but when I asked you like what happened, you were like, oh, it got better. And I was like, how convenient is that?
It did. Do you want me to go get the book and read it on the podcast for everybody?
No, we don't have to read it for everybody.
Okay. You acting like I don't have the receipts. I got it in the book.
It's just so interesting to me because I actually moved my maiden name to become my second middle name when we got married, and I changed my last name. So I kind of feel like I have like some of that energy still. It's very interesting also looking backwards because I had a really hard time with changing my name. I had a really hard time. Like, I was like so excited about it. And then when it came time to do it, I was just like, who am I? Also, I was going here and there everywhere to all these freaking government agencies to get all this done. And my husband was like, yeah, you go change your name. You go change your name. And he wasn't getting up. I should have made you drive me to the Social Security office.
You making me sound like that dude. What's his name? Otis. I'm put a ring on it.
Ew.
That's what you're making me sound like. Like I'm him. Oh, you gonna change your name. That's not how I was saying it.
Did you or did you not tell me that it was a deal breaker if I did not change my last name?
I said it was very important to me.
Sound like a deal breaker to me, but it's okay. I'm not mad about it. No use crying over spilled milk.
Nah, but before we go and we get off of numerology, I just wanted to say that, we talked about a lot of different systems, as I mentioned before at the beginning of this. Different cultures have used them to try to make sense of what we're going through here on this rock that's floating in space. Use these systems as tools. If you calculate your numbers and you're like, that's not me at all, they don't resonate, then forget about it, and go with what works for you.
That's a really good point. Because there ain't nothing you can do about it anyway. As always, if you have a question, please email us at chakrasandshotguns@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. If you'd like to join our Chakras and Shotguns community, you can support us on Patreon. And finally, if you're loving the show, please subscribe and give us 5 stars wherever you listen.
Namaste.